Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, Grace. Hi, Mark.
Good morning.
Good morning, good morning.
Fancy meeting you here.
It's in a more beautiful world.
Yeah.
No,
We've finished with our less beautiful world. We're now in the more beautiful world. So much better, isn't it?
We're done with that. We're done with that.
You're done with that. I didn't really like it anyway.
Oh yeah, that was so.
That was so February 2020.
For real. So good. Yay. Good morning, Katherine.
Hi, Katherine.
Hi.
You always have your hair in a different style each time.
Yeah, it's whatever happens when I get out of bed.
Unlike me.
I see we have some other guests, Melinda and Betsy, waiting with us.
Oh, Betsy. I think Betsy is my beautiful friend Betsy, who I invited to join us.
Well, what I can say about the name Betsy is that I grew up with a mother named Betsy. So it means a lot to me to see a Betsy in this sit.
Yeah. Oh, you would love her. She's a mama. She's a Pachamama.
Wonderful.
Good morning.
Hey.
Indy.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Oh, you're on the move.
Bernardo, on the move.
Yeah, I just dropped my roommate to the airport. He's doing an emergency leave San Francisco, so he's moving back to Chicago. Yeah.
But thanks for connecting with us, wherever you are, whatever you're doing.
Thanks. Happy to be here. The airport is empty. It's the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. It's like, I've never seen anything like it. It's bizarre.
Hello, Rick.
Hello, Mark. How's it going?
Great. Thank you for joining us this morning. I don't think you've met Paul and Grace and Katherine are all part of this project that started a year ago. And Rick is hosting another session right after us on story and the importance of story. It's wonderful. Hello, Suzanne. Hello, Katie and Ben. Wonderful. Of course, it's just 9 o'clock right now. And I have no idea how many people will be joining us. But we will wait a few minutes to get started. Welcome, Charles. Welcome, Simone. Thank you all for joining us. We're just settling in. It's 9 o'clock. We're going to see people popping in from all over the world. I'm going to give a few minutes just to arrive and settle in. Nikita, hello.
Looks like about 18 people RSVP'd that they were coming on the calendar.
Oh yeah, I imagine there'll be a number of people dropping in. First session. Wonderful. If anybody just wants to go around and just say where they're calling in from, get a sense. Paul, you want to start?
Yeah, I'm on my porch in our garden in the Cotswolds in England near Oxford.
Wonderful. Grace, Duke, where are you guys calling in from?
Kensington, California, San Francisco Bay Area.
Outside of Berkeley.
Mm-hmm.
Katherine?
I'm in Palo Alto. California.
Wonderful. And Dee, looks like you're on the road. I think you're going to the airport. You're on mute and driving, so I'm not gonna. Rick, where are you calling in from?
Hudson Valley, New York, place called Middletown.
Wonderful. Katie.
Hiya. I'm calling in from London, England.
Wonderful. Suzanne.
Good morning. I'm calling in from Port Townsend, Washington, across the water from Seattle.
Thank you. Ben?
Is that my name? I'm in Newtown, Connecticut, not too far from New York City.
Great. Simone? Simone? Is it Simone or Simone?
Simone. Where are you calling from?
Wait, she'll mute.
Oh.
Wait a second. Let me see if I can help you out here. There you go. Try that. Now try it.
Hello?
Yes.
Yes. I'm from the Netherlands,
Great. Thank you.
The Hague.
And Charles, I've got you.
Yeah, I'm calling from Rhode Island at home in Rhode Island, USA.
Thank you. And Bianca.
I'm calling from the west side of Puerto Rico.
Thank you for joining us. Nikita.
Hi, I'm calling from Cat Island, the Bahamas.
Wonderful.
Remote Island in the Bahamas.
Betsy. Oh, wait. Let's see.
Yes, hi. I'm calling from San Francisco.
Thank you for joining us. And Robert.
Hi, I'm calling from Markham, Ontario, Canada, near Toronto.
Great. And Mark Wagon.
Hey. Hi, everyone. Calling from Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Wonderful. And Rose.
Hi.
Where are we calling in from, Rose?
Oh, I've just joined a second. I'm calling in from London, and I'm also, my mum wants to join, so but she can't click into the link because it's too late. So she's just going to be here with me. She's called Jo.
Wait,
Yeah.
Ben, is there an issue with people clicking in when it's after the hour?
Not unless you lock the meeting.
How would I unlock the meeting? I don't know that I did lock it.
Yeah, I mean, if you didn't lock it, then
Oh, okay.
you can make me a co-host. I can check. It might just be Zoom getting a little bit overwhelmed. It's amazing that the whole thing hasn't broken.
I'm just going to do it for her, but carry on.
Yeah, but if I've got other people trying to get in, that's counterproductive.
Well, make me a co-host. I'll see if there's a setting I can
make you a co-host. Okay, I'm new at this co-hosting.
Participants.
Oh yeah.
People from the Bahamas.
Mark, I think it would be good for everybody to mute if you're not talking, just so we can all hear as well as possible.
Yeah, of course. Everybody, if you're not speaking, you can manage your own mute button down on the bottom left. So Ben, sorry, is it the make host? I see if I
not host, co-host.
I don't see that option.
When you put in participants, I think your meeting is not locked. That seems highly unlikely.
Oh, we're still getting people. Hi, Lisa. Yes. Okay, great.
I'm going to be switching to audio only, by the way, and taking my dog for a walk during the bulk of this session.
Okay, well, it's 9:05. Again, welcome everybody. What I'm going to do is just mention real quick kind of the agenda. People will arrive as they will. If people need to step out, please do so as you will. We've gathered around friendship, actually, where a year ago we sat with Charles Eisenstein, who's here on the call with us, for a week. Going deep into what does the more beautiful world our hearts know is possible mean to each of us. And out of that experience, with a group of us that are on the call here, we initiated I guess you could say it's a ceremony where for the last year, we've been meeting regularly, and an idea was seeded, and we've been wanting to carry that forward. So in order to do that, what we'd like to do first is just kind of lay out how this call is going to go. It's going to be a little free-flowing. As soon as I'm done, Grace is going to welcome us all in and get us grounded for a few minutes. And then what we'd like to do is introduce this. I'm going to put everybody on mute. So what we'd like to do is have this grounding, introduce why we're here, and then at 9:30, we also have Grace and Duke have been hosting the virtual sanctuary during this time period as well, and this will be every day at 9:30, but we're going to combine the two on Tuesdays. Every Tuesday for the next 6 weeks, we will be gathering here to evolve this concept, and we're going to share what that is. So, Grace, if you could just kind of help get us grounded, and here we go.
And let's just find ourselves here, just arriving, finding a comfortable sitting position, wiggling a little bit to find that, whatever that is, and then breathing, just breathing here. And you may wish to close your eyes for this practice. And then feeling the weight of your body. Just the weight of your body and how it feels to be in your body. And then noticing in your body if you're having some tension or any kind of stress or feeling awkward, because this is a new platform for us to all engage in. Just breathe. Let's just exhale that tension, that stress, that awkwardness. As we're just inviting each one of us to come as we are. Just to come as we are. So again, if you're noticing any tension or stress, releasing it with the exhale. And with each breath, allowing the busyness of the day to fall away. And just noticing your breath gently rising and falling. Inhaling and exhaling. And in between the breath, notice there is a still point. So we are inhaling, and then there's a stillness, and then exhaling. Noticing when we bring our awareness to just our breathing and the still point therein, that it is very natural for us to be spacious. Spacious and yet alert, relaxed and present. This breath that is coming to you is for you. Everything living you into existence right here, right now. Welcome this breath. Honor this breath like it matters. It is life and death. The way to live life is through the next breath. And with this breath, and just as we are, notice, why are we here in this moment? What are you saying yes to in your life by being here? What are you saying yes to in your soul and in your vision that has brought you here today? You did not come here by chance. Being here is a choice. What are you saying yes to? Feeling and sensing your breath again. Noticing its life, its power within. And with this awareness, let's expand our awareness to each other who have also said yes and are here with us today. Opening our hearts to one another in our circle, sensing into the sacred, aware of the presence of spirit, the spirit of our being, and the spirit that is flowing in and through each one of us. Sense it supporting and expanding our shared intention, our shared yes. With this, let's take a few quiet moments to sit in gratitude in being together, in what we are creating, and all of life that is living us into existence. Here and now. And with this gratitude, and with the awareness of our circle, let us then, with the next breath, open our eyes if they're not already opened, and continue together to deepen our connection and the story of yes. What is that?
Thank you, Grace. So I would like to share that I said yes many years ago, and I've been in search of what the more beautiful world our hearts know is possible. And in that search, as I said, it led me to an invitation from Charles to sit with him and meet Paul and Katherine and Grace and Duke and many others. And what I'd like to offer is, first of all, my gratitude for that invitation, for myself to say yes and step into. We're going to be exploring what is a more beautiful world our hearts know is possible. And considering we have Charles sitting here with us, I'd like to open this notion to him to share what that might mean, the more beautiful world our hearts know is possible to him, and open this conversation up that way. Charles?
Yeah, well, thank you, Mark, and greetings to everybody. It's been quite a couple weeks for me, as probably many of you, in this time of the interruption of normal. We have like the multiple timelines into the future become revealed that are otherwise obscured by the routines of the machine that we've lived in, which has its own inertia and requires us in many ways to conform to it. So our own routines get wrapped up in normality, and now that's been interrupted. And maybe not just interrupted, but I think that we're not actually going to go back to normal. The question is, do we try to go back to normal, or do we take this opportunity to intentionally move into the future? Because so much is possible now that would have been inconceivable just a couple months ago. What's possible is not all good. We have the possibility of a permanent society of separation where lack of contact, no more hugs, no more social gathering has become normalized. Military policing civilians, legalized permanent or legalized indefinite detention. I'm not sure how many of you have looked into the kind of conspiracy stuff, but they're tapping into a future as well, where the wish list of a totalitarian state is manifest. And we're also seeing at the same time, like no airplanes buzzing over the sky. We're seeing solidarity rising up everywhere, like the water, underground water seeping up, the water of love, the water of interbeing seeping up through the ground and coming out all the cracks as people, some people are going to hoarding, other people are saying, how can I help? So one of the things that is coming up is economically. That's going to be maybe the biggest impact. Because after all, the total number of deaths is still a very, very tiny fraction of the prevailing death rate. So, but it's the disruption of normal, including economic normal, that is going to have the biggest impact. And this leaves an opportunity, like all of a sudden, the misery and suffering of the working class and the lower classes is put in our face and brought closer to home as many, many more people are facing this insecurity. And so even in the Washington Post, something's come up about a debt jubilee. And I just read the Democrats' stimulus package, I think, involves like cancellation of $10,000 of student debt for everybody, moratorium on evictions and foreclosures. So this is pointing toward another normal too, a normal, like a new normal, a new future. Like, what if this becomes normalized? What if we no longer are hounding each other to make those payments and to keep the money machine as we know it working? Like, this is another, it's a signal that we don't have to do it this way, that our collective, so really what's happening here is that our unified will as humans in common cause is showing that enormous rapid change is in fact possible. That there are no technical barriers to anything that we want to accomplish as a collective. The barriers are only a product of human disagreement. And when we come into unity, tremendous change is possible. So I haven't actually answered your question, Mark, like to describe the more beautiful world. I can't actually describe it. Any description I do is less than what it is, but I see glimpses of it in, for example, the debt jubilee. It's a world where we're no longer enslaving people to their past, because really that's what debt is. You borrowed this money 15 years ago, and now I'm going to make you pay it back. I have power over you, and the power to collect debt is always enforced by the power that comes from the barrel of a gun. David Graeber said something like that. Behind the man with the ledger is the man with the gun. So part of the more beautiful world my heart knows is possible is this atmosphere of generosity and forgiveness and letting go. And I'm not going to hold it over you anymore. And it corresponds internally to like what grudges or what resentments or what leverage, what power have I held over somebody else? And who will I become as I let go of that? And what will society become as we let go of the institutions of domination? And there's a long, long way to go. One of the institutions of domination is, in fact, the medical system that is responding to COVID in the way that it is, rather than looking at the ground conditions for viral contagion and how do we boost immunity and why are we so susceptible. Almost everyone who's died, not everyone, but almost everyone who's died from this disease had serious pre-existing pathologies. So we might want to begin to ask, why are there so many in society with serious pre-existing pathologies? It opens up, so we have a choice, either we can hold tighter to the story of the world that we're in, or we can begin an inquiry, let in the data points that don't fit. And yeah, it's like it's like my impression is that we've been walking on this path and there's this crossroads ahead. We see that there's like a significant crossroads ahead. We've seen it for many years. We've seen it for decades. And we keep thinking we're almost there, but it turns out actually that was a mirage. It's actually over the next hill. It's over the next hill. And then all of a sudden we turn a corner and here it is. All of a sudden, which way do we go? And maybe the first response is to just freeze in place, bewildered and hardly daring to believe that we have reached this crossroads. So I guess our job, meaning maybe just even the people gathered right here, right now, the people creating the More Beautiful World 24, but also the bigger our job is to identify which of the many paths that converge on the present moment is the one that we want to walk, and what is the first step on that path. Yeah, that's what I have to say for now.
Thank you, Charles. I imagine a lot of us are sitting looking out that window of possibility. And I know that's why we're gathered here, to imagine what that could be, but more importantly, to share what we each are doing, how we're being present in these moments, many of us for many years. And I think that's the intent of this channeling that we want to do to bring forth the more beautiful world. And what we're going to do here in just a few moments is sit with the virtual sanctuary to go through a process of crossing that threshold. And then thereafter, Katherine takes us through that. We will go around and share each of our visions and presence of mind. And then after that, we'll talk about how we're going to move forward. Is it okay to start now, Katherine? Grace?
Oh, yeah, thank you very much. And so with this in mind, we're also connected to another Zoom call. There's a few people who have been joining us for our virtual sanctuary, which is only 30 minutes, 9:30 to 10 daily, during this time as a support to our community, going through this transition of the old into the new. So we're also connected with another Zoom call. So during this time, Mark, Katherine, and Duke and I were thinking, again, to reiterate what Mark was saying, to welcome people in the virtual sanctuary who is in the parallel universe next to us. And with this, we're going to have Duke share a Qigong practice to help us to open and to connect with Mama Gaia, to earth, to ground. And then Katherine will then continue that journey. And so I'll turn things over to Duke. And I just want to welcome everyone for joining us in the virtual sanctuary. Whether you're in the portal of the virtual sanctuary or in Now What or in the More Beautiful World, our hearts know is possible channel. Okay. It's on fire. The incense,
Okay. Shall we turn both screens in?
Yes.
Okay.
So turn.
I'm about to do Qigong.
You can practice along with Star if you like. Oh, come here. Okay, I will.
It's wonderful having the kids here, having an excuse to have little ones run across the Zoom meetings.
Love it.
Is it a ball, Mom?
Yes, it is.
There we go.
Okay.
Okay, you can sit or stand as you wish. So this and all Qigong comes from a long shamanic history of using imagination, intention, and ritual to enact change in the mind, in the energy, and in the body. Feeling yourself upon this earth, this living, breathing mass, so big it's pulling you and holding you on itself. And feel yourself part of something much larger, above and around, much, much larger. Reach up into the heavens into the very, very center of everything. And there, perhaps surprisingly, you find a center of luminosity. Request that light to come down to the top of your head like a waterfall of radiance, washing through your whole body. 3 times, reaching up. As it comes through your body, allow it to vibrate. Washing away the separate sense of self and duty and the identity that we hold. You can just hold it lightly for a few moments. Imagine your connection with this. What is your connection with this? We could call it divinity. And allow that connection to be symbolized as a sphere, a tiny sphere at the top of your head, right at the top of your crown. As you lean towards your toes, imagine that melting into a smile, melting down the front of your body like warm honey, all the way down to your feet. Go back to that sphere. As you go towards your toes, imagine that melting into a smile. Smile spreading down the back of your body. And the sphere melting on the center of your body, center of your arms, center of your torso, abdomen, all your internal organs, center of your legs, down to your feet. And as that smile oozes downward, allow it to pool around your feet. And then imagine it drilling gently into the earth, growing roots. Feeling our living connection of that to that which gave us life. Keep drilling, keep growing down twice your height. Now feel in this dynamic relationship the livingness of the earth pushing itself up those roots. You're drawing it in. It's also pushing itself up your legs, up the back of your body. Inhaling it up to behind your head, behind your neck, up and around your head. Inhaling again, mixing it with the energy from the center of heaven. Drawing it down the front. Rolling it in your abdomen, behind your belly button. Rolling, tumbling. And the earth continues to overflow and upwell. Golden energy. Which fills and fills and fills. Until that expands, comes alive. Comes out your hands and fills the whole space around you. Coming into your center. Feeling around you in all 10 directions. 4 cardinal, 4 in between, up and down. Then contracting into the center of your heart, feeling the light of your heart growing brighter, 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 brighter. And coming back.
Thank you, Duke. Okay, great. And so we're going to turn things over to Katherine, who's going to guide us in an experience. Thank you, Katherine.
Thank you, Duke. So it's so interesting to me how much parallel there is in the meditation in the Qigong and what I was thinking of guiding us through. So I'm going to try and build on what you've done rather than repeating. The main thing that I want to introduce is this concept. The threshold that we're discussing, in my mind, is a new level of connection. That's all it is. And a belief and understanding about that connection. Additionally, I feel like believing that we can make contact with the future, the more beautiful world, by way of ritual is it's essential for ritual to function. So I'm going to ask us to begin to consider that future with the connection that we can establish right now. We sense and transmit energy, and we manifest an image of reality directly with our minds. And the reality that we think we perceive bubbles up from our unconscious and creates what we believe and perceive as conscious. And that what we're perceiving affects our minds, it affects our moods, our behavior, and it guides our automatic way of being. So I'd like to do an embodiment practice because we spend so much time in our minds thinking, fantasizing, working things out that we forget that the body has a wisdom all of its own. So I'm going to begin with something that I call a body scan. And in this particular kind of scan, we don't have the intention of changing anything at all. We simply bathe our body with our attention, noticing, and creating a kind of a baseline from which we can experience something new. And from there, I'd like to see if I can't take us to a place of embodying a connection that is a part of the threshold that we are all facing. So to begin with, if you're comfortable, I would ask you to close your eyes and take a few breaths. And begin the noticing. Notice the energy in the space that you're in. You may even be able to notice the shared intention we all have right now in just participating in this practice. Notice the sound of my voice as I guide you. And then we're just going to bring all of that noticing to a point at the top of our head and drop down in. Just noticing. Bathing all that we notice there with a warm, gentle attention. No intention of changing a thing. So you may notice your eye sockets. Are they tense? Are they cold? Whatever is there, just notice sinking down through the nasal passages, the jaws. How are the jaws right now? Your tongue, is there dryness? Down through the throat that allows us to breathe, to swallow, to eat. How is your throat right now? Gently descending down over those muscles at the side of the neck, over the shoulders, the balls of muscle there. Take a moment to just notice how those muscles are feeling right now. Have they been busy hunching up by our ears? Are they heavy and settled? Just notice. Descending down, down through the upper arms, noticing the muscle and bone there. Gently bathing our elbows with our attention. Descending down through the forearms and the wrists, the hands, all the bones, all the way down to the very tips of your fingers. You might even notice the nerves that are there at the tips of your fingers. Just noticing. Bringing your attention back up to the chest. Notice how it rises and falls with each breath. Allow your attention to sink in to the lungs. No intention to change a thing. Notice how they work. You may begin to notice the beating of your heart, the constant beating. Descending down through the organs, the guts, the intestines. How are they in this moment? Just bathing them in your attention. Settling down into the cavity of the hips. Take a moment to notice all that sits there. Notice your sexual organs. How are they? Also give them a gentle bathing with your attention. Notice your buttocks as they meet whatever seat it is that sustains you. Bringing your attention back to the sacrum where it connects with the spine. Just noticing that area of the back now, low, low. And then we're going to ascend up the spine, each little vertebra connected to nerves and muscle, up through the mid-back, up through the upper back, all the way up to the skull. Noticing the beautiful spine that we have. And then descending back down to the hips. Notice the sockets where they connect to the big bones of the thighs. The muscles that lay there. Just noticing. And then begin to notice your knees, the joints, hard workers, down to the calves and the shin bones, descending and bathing with your attention, the ankles, all the bones of the feet, the toes, each one just noticing, and the soles of the feet. As you notice the soles of your feet connecting to the earth, allow that attention now to drop down into the earth, down into the roots. Allow those roots to surround your feet. Feel them wrapping your toes, crossing your arches, connecting with you. And then feel how the roots spread out. They go deep and they go wide. Begin to share now a sense of what's there. Mama Gaia, the earth, connecting each and every person, encircling, these roots are encircling the entire globe, connecting you to all of it. And as you begin to allow this connection through your feet to the entire globe, I would like you to then begin to imagine the one person who is also feet in roots, there to share something with you about the beautiful world our hearts know is possible. Start with the roots and begin to see their feet, their shins, their knees, their thighs. What sex are they? All the way up until you've got a full picture of them, their posture, their eyes, their smile, their breath, their heart beating. And now we're going to focus in on the heart. Their heart and your heart. Allow the sound of the beating hearts to enter your senses now, like a primordial drum calling you, and begin to approach the heart, each of you. The heart will open a door for you. And when you're ready, go inside. Sit down. And listen. Take a few moments here and discuss it. You may not exchange words, you may exchange a look. You may just exchange heartbeats, but listen to what you have to share with each other about the more beautiful world that our hearts know is possible. this understanding is always available to you. All you have to do is remember. So now I'd like both you and your person to put your hand on your heart. Feel the beating. Feel the energy exchange between the hand and the heart. The knowing that the connection is always there. Through the roots of the earth, all the way around the globe. Remember what you've shared. And when you're ready, keeping your shared understanding there between the heart and the hand, bring your other hand up to the heart. Holding the understanding and the knowing, the connections to the earth and to each other that we all share. Listen to the heart for just another moment. And when you're ready, coming back to the space. I believe that the imagination is an incredible tool for us to create the more beautiful world. And in service to that, if you all are willing to play, I'd like for us to now try something. I'd like you to go back to the heart, and I'd like you to just see if you can't grab a hold of a little string, a heartstring, of what you've just come to know and understand. And make eye contact with someone in the screen. Doesn't really matter because we're all connected. And I'd like you to pull that string out and reach out and offer it to someone else. And once you're there, grab a hold of someone's string and pull, pull. Feel the connection. Can you feel the connection? That's it. That's what we all have. And in the name of ritual, I'm going to take my string, thank you, and I'm going to tie it around my wrist to remind me, whenever I need it, that you all are there, that we are all connected to Mother Earth and to each other. Thank you.
Thank you, Katherine. Welcome, everybody, to the More Beautiful World Our Hearts Know is Possible. Thank you for crossing the threshold with us. I can tell you how I got here. I went to Esalen to meet with, I didn't know who other than Charles. And they handed me a room key and said, you'll be in a room with 4 others. I met Paul in that room. And something connected us dearly. And from that meeting, Paul shared with me an idea. And from that idea, we are all here now, a year later. I'd like Paul to share that idea with everybody now.
Thanks, Mark. And lovely to be here with everybody. Yeah, and it's the story starts for me in 2008 in the back garden of my home, which I shared with my ex-wife who's on the call, Joan. Hadn't expected Joan on this introductory call for More Beautiful World 24, but it's perfect that she is. And we were hosting, my company was hosting a 24-hour kind of festival of technology, really. And it was in the middle of the night, and all of these people were tuned in across the world, watching some organization's kind of world of work. And I thought, I don't know what this is, but it feels like something. And that was 2008. And then a few years ago, when politics was going crazy, I came across Charles Eisenstein and heard this idea that we were between stories, that one story was ending and that we were in transition, another story hadn't yet come into being. And it really kind of resonated for me. And I then decided I would register for this retreat that Mark mentioned, where I had the pleasure of meeting him and sharing a dorm with him. And the retreat was called The More Beautiful World Our Hearts Know Is Possible. And when I registered, I thought, let's do a 24-hour live stream of stories happening right now in our world of the more beautiful world our hearts know is possible. Stories of young people living in community with older people, overcoming isolation, new approaches to food and agriculture, new stories of building community that exist around us that just don't get shared. So that encounter, then coming to Esalen, and then meeting up with Duke and Katherine and Mark, and then Rose, my daughter, got involved in this as well. And the idea was to say that there is what I call a media industrial narrative. So the 24-hour machine pumps out versions of whatever horror it can fixate on. And those things are happening in our world. They're a part of our reality. But there's an alternate reality that's not really being shared and told, and is in our stories as well. And there's stories of that more beautiful world. So I started off as a journalist, and you look around for stuff that fails, and you tell everybody about what fails. You don't look for things that succeed. And so my idea here today was, this is the fruition of really trying to sow a seed and saying, look, where this hopefully in time will grow into is a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week channel, a new type of channel for this new story, to share stories of that more beautiful world. Because if we share those stories, we amplify the possibility of that more beautiful world. Charles talked that we're at a crossroads, and we are. There's different directions possible for humanity. And the more stories that we tell each other and others, the more we can affect the outcome. So here's a story that I'll tell. So just before I came on the call, I was talking to a senior executive in a company. I said, what do you think the future of business travel is going to be when this is, let's say, the first wave of this virus has subsided? And we both shared that business travel as we know it is finished. It won't disappear completely, but essentially that industry has gone. The work will become more local. And he said there are two reasons why. He said one reason is companies are not going to allow people to travel like they would in the past. They won't sign it off. The security clearances are not possible. And the other reason is we've all experienced in this working from home rapid initiative that's happening across the world right now in real time. We've experienced we don't need to. The skies are going to be persistently clearer. Not completely, but that cessation of air travel is and what he's telling me is happening around thousands of companies. So that's a story that we, even a couple of months ago, we could not even envisage. Life will become more local, work will become more local, and we will connect through technology. So that's a story for me, and I'd really love us to just share stories of maybe new experiences of community that you've experienced. It can be going up and down your street, trying to find neighbors who you maybe didn't talk to, because these are the stories, and we'd like this channel, if you like, it'll start 60 minutes once a week to include films and animations and interviews, and we're going to create a new media story so that the media industrial narrative starts to decline in volume, and this and other channels start to come up.
Thank you, Paul. At Esalen, Paul shared that notion with Grace and Katherine and myself and a few others that were together with Charles. And what I'd like to ask now is if Katherine would just like to share what comes forth from her vision of the more beautiful world and the offerings or the gifts that she brings forward.
Stuck me in first, huh, Mark? Well, you know, I find myself so drawn to this mainly because I've always trusted the things that I hear, and then I realize, oh, I always knew this. Thank you for saying this. Thank you for finding the words for this. Thank you for finding the place for this. Thank you for putting this into action. And so that's how I was drawn to the idea and the concepts and philosophy behind Charles's work. What I found when I was at Esalen is that I was busily trying to make something that's quite esoteric, my practice and my studies. My dissertation is on using embodied imagination, which is something like what you just saw when you're facing a life-threatening illness. It's about taking the possibilities of our mind and our imagination and using it for healing. And I used it myself. I had cancer, and then I used it with a lot of other people who had cancer. And I came to understand that the medical profession, while valiantly and wonderfully was treating people's bodies, people's souls and spirits and minds were suffering greatly and not getting the attention that might be helpful in creating an environment for healing within the body. And so I began to try and speak to oncologists and doctors and all kinds of people about this wacky practice that I have called embodied imagination. And it was hard. It's very difficult to work your way into an existing evidence-based system with a practice that is soulful and imaginative and often involves working with images from your dreams or journeys and visions. And I found within this group of people at Esalen, my tribe, and an amazing amount of support that allowed me to continue to proceed through my doctoral program in mind-body medicine, to feel like I wasn't out there alone, and that that more beautiful world where we can rely on our own potentials, our own innate potential for healing, is really possible. And so as I finish the doctorate, my intention is to to open a center, and once we're allowed to move around and continue to sort of propagate these ideas of what's potential for all of us for healing ourselves through our mind and our spirit and connection. So I don't even know if I answered your question or said what I meant to, but that's really what brings me here and keeps me here. And in a way, it's what I hope for everyone else is that sense of knowing our own innate potential and the connection and unity that is real and true and always there.
Thank you, Katherine, for speaking your truth.
Yeah.
Grace and Duke, if you'd like to share.
Yeah, I'd like to share what the More Beautiful World is to me, is kind of in a distilled way. I feel like this idea, this concept, the More Beautiful World, is not just me, of course, thinking of this. I feel like I'm just a drop into the reality of what that is, of the truth of what that is. I had a dream several years ago, and I have a lucid dreaming practice where plants come to me and share with me their wisdom. And one of the dreams that I had about that was these plants. So I go to this place where there's the trees and the plants, they're teaching while the humans are listening. And they were saying, and they were sharing how there's going to be a time when there's going to be a great transition. Things are going to collapse, and there's going to be destruction. And it's because those things that are not connected to source, connected to the truth of all things, those things will just naturally dissolve because they're not connected to anything. But this is the time then that we remember what is true and what is real and what is connected to source. And what's beautiful about that dream is that they were saying how everything is actually created in celebration and joy. And that's why there is this continuation and generation of life, because we are connected through joy. The joy of being connected. How beautiful is that? That we're all connected, and in this way we access the gifts of who we are, the power of who we are, and how then there's the expression of that joy. And I'm here to explore that with all of you and to bring that into reality, because I believe that to be true. And that is the more beautiful world that is emerging through us together.
I've been searching in my life for a very long time for a more beautiful world that my heart knows is possible. I left everything that I knew to live in an ashram for many years, and moved on, studied with a Taoist master for many years, over 10 years now. And at first it was, I'm going to get out of this system and find at least my own space of presence and reality, something real and not kind of stultified and twisted by external machinations. And very quickly, the guru I was sitting with told me, no, the ultimate fruition is not in escaping to your cave, but knowing that we're all connected and acting from that knowledge as a sort of magic in the world, a glimmering, resplendent kind of play, and coming into playing together, knowing how we are connected. And my profession, how I sort of worked my way through ashram life was as an engineer of software, and that has this quality of reifying thought. And so that is my goal in terms of reifying these intimations of a more beautiful world, is creating ways of interacting together, of knowing how we are connected, how we are all gloriously, mysteriously, terribly, wonderfully interconnected.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
living.
And so we've created the virtual sanctuary. We're part of a foundation, Wellspring, to support each other and to explore what that connection is, as we are also here doing that. So circles within circles, threads,
Yeah, so
weaving
with
together.
the Wellspring Foundation, we're creating the virtual sanctuary here in the More Beautiful World. We're working on the World Tree Network to interconnect all things on the level. And so you all are invited to the virtual sanctuary every day also, where we do this wonderful mix of presence and qigong and loving each other.
Thank you, Grace and Duke. I'm going to be very short, even though mine's a 40-year-old story. 40 years ago, something came upon me after working with a bunch of people that had worked with Buckminster Fuller and a bunch of other folks in the late 70s. And the presence of mind that I was tuned into is that we are actually nurturing our senses and extending our senses beyond the simple five senses. And over the last 40 years, I've witnessed that come to fruition. And yes, it does have to do with technology. For these reasons, we are able to connect and sense each other right now. And I think that what came to me this last week that kind of summarizes everything is that we are evolving from being reactionaries, those who hold on to a single idea and find it very hard to let go. We're evolving to refractionaries, where we can turn the prism and through sharing, see in so many different ways what's going on in the world. And now I believe that's what the intent of the More Beautiful World, Our Hearts Most Possible is that of sharing our hearts, the connection of those heartstrings. And so moving forward, what I'd like to do is open up the circle right now. Who would like to share vision, their sense of the more beautiful world, their offering, their gifts? Anybody want to raise their hand or just unmute yourself? Rick, please.
All right, thank you. So I have a story of connection from today that I want to share. First of all, I was sick yesterday. I was kind of scared. Like, do I have this thing? You know, my mind was going crazy. And I woke up today, and today's a new moon, and I'm also sharing my stories of the prophecy of the great brightening. So I'm in kind of ritual mode, and in that story, it's kind of a playful prayer, and the central character is Tzedekah, and I wrote this when I was sick. I was sick for a while with an illness, and I wrote, so that central character, I've been kind of connected to like Native American ritual and also like Jewish tradition. And I named that central character Tzedekah because I felt like it was a prayer for justice, for flow, for connection, and Tzedekah has to do with charity. So I think art for me is a way. The A is the A, the R is remember, and the T is truth. So it's like a way to remember my truth, right? So I'm practicing my art as a way to do that. And yesterday, a man from Africa reached out to me from Facebook, and I know he's a teacher from in Gambia, I do believe, and he's a young man, and you know, I've been in touch with him for maybe a year or two, but I don't really know him. And he reached out and he asked for money, and he said that, you know, things are closing and they don't have enough money for food, and he wants $50 for a bag of rice that will last his family, his mom and his two siblings for a month. So, you know, I'm not someone who has a lot of money, but I feel like we're good. We're going to get food here. Everything's shut down, but I don't really fear for my well-being in a big way. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna give him the $50, and I sent it to him, and he sent me a picture with him like buying the food, and you know, it just made me feel good. It made my heart feel good. So that's a simple example of connection that can happen and it makes me like wonder, like it's such a beautiful thing. You can feel it. We really are all connected. You can feel it. And I hope that everyone on the planet can feel it, and, you know, things can start to flow so that, you know, needs can be met. And the innate beauty of all our soul songs can emerge as a stress gets released. That's my sort of prayer. And, you know, I'm hoping that circles can get formed. You know, if everyone has a circle of support, you know, the more positive, beautiful world can emerge, right? And I think that's happening. And I'm glad to have been called into this circle and get to participate. So thank you.
Thank you, Rick. Yeah, Rick does have a session in Now What afterwards if you'd like to join in about story. Who would like to share? Just raise your hand. Get yourself off mute. Joan, please.
Hi, my name is Brianny. I'm from Belgium. And yeah, what I would like to share is that because of everything what is happening, it's okay if I unmute myself.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah? Okay, no problem. Okay, so because of everything what has happened with the coronavirus and the lockdown in Belgium is also totally locked down now. And I created I did a lot of innovation in education. I created many fairy tales and songs for children and educational material. And because of what is happening now, I put everything free online, and I feel that so many people are connecting now, and also like in an accelerated way, new connections are made. People all feel like, oh, we're all in the same boat. We're all in the same. We are feeling the same, so we have to do something together to change the world. And my dream is always to change the education system worldwide, because I feel there's a lot of job to do there. And I created many materials for that. So it's really, for me, like I cannot go away. Sometimes I feel frustrated, so I cannot fly and drive. But then I feel, oh, but I have so many things created. I have to put it online, and I have to, create more things for people, for children. And because I'm here, that's the only thing I can do. So that's very good. Even though sometimes you feel like, oh, I want to see my friends again, and travel, and So I think that it's a bit weird, but still it creates very new opportunities now to realize the dreams we already had long time in ourselves. And I feel this for myself. I had so many dreams inside, and because of now the lockdown, it's just all coming out. And then, yeah, that's beautiful.
Thank you, Brioni. Yes, education, our children, they are the future, right? Joan, I think you were next.
Hello, can you hear me? First of all, I'm very glad to be here and unexpectedly, like Paul said, to have joined you and met you all. You know, as Rose's mother, her enthusiasm for this really is what brought me here, and it's wonderful. And then on the other note, you know, the tsunami of misery and pain that is about to overwhelm and is overwhelming the planet. At the same time, what we are seeing, talking about connections, just on a micro level. I have met more people in my area, neighborhood, I guess you'd call it, than I have. I've lived here for 8 years. And, you know, I've met so many neighbors before we were locked down delivering leaflets. And the micro organization that has happened with helping people, you know, to vulnerable people, you know, it's so amazing, just on a like almost street by street basis, and the connections that are being formed, and how beautiful that is. Yeah, it's absolutely wonderful. And there was something else I can't remember I was going to say. Anyway, it's great, and thanks very much for organizing all this. Paul, where are you? Are you there? And Rose, lovely. Bye.
Thank you, Joan. Yeah, it's quite something when we know the work we're doing is connected to our children. And I can't tell you how happy it makes me to see my child on this call with her boyfriend. And I'm sure she's a little embarrassed right now, but it's just where we live, right? In our hearts. Who else would like to share?
May I?
Please.
Yeah, I'm Michelle. I'm in Louisville, Kentucky. And my heart is full of all I've heard from all of you, and feel so connected in many ways already with you all. I was a preschool teacher for many years. I'm a mom. My children are in their 30s now. Don't have grandchildren yet. But a song for all of us children of all ages that I've heard, an old little song that we can sing together, and I've seen sung with children, tapping parts of their body and feeling every little cell in my body is happy, every little cell in my body is well, every little cell in my body is happy, every little cell in my body is well. I'm so glad every little cell in my body is happy and well. I'm so glad every little cell in my body is happy and well, happy and well, happy and well, happy and well, yeah. And
yeah. Wonderful.
Hey, I'm a teacher of, and practitioner of the Tara approach. It combines Jinshin and the knowledge of neuroscience to help resolve trauma, help people repattern from that. And in our hands, as Duke knows, are meridians, and the index finger, if we bring down the index finger and hold it down with the thumb, you've got a mudra. The index finger has to do with the kidney meridians, kidney and bladder meridians, where fear lodges. Of course, we've got this virus of fear that's been going around. So if we cradle this index finger or make this mudra for a couple minutes and release the water element in us to flush out the virus of fear. It's not real, you know, the false evidence appearing real. And bring our immune, it helps boost our immune system to come to the fore and be ready, be on the ready as it's naturally is. This helps remove the obstructions to our immune system being as ready to flush out toxins as it naturally does. So this tends to your own ecosystem, and which is a microcosm and embedded in the ecosystem we all share, this web of life. So I'm sharing everywhere I go and with everyone I meet this mudra and that song now. That's the new story for me now. Thank you.
Beautiful, Michelle. Beautiful. I do want to mention we're coming up at the end of our scheduled time, but I'm going to leave the call open because we're just beginning. Anybody who would like to stay on the call and share with us, please, let's continue. What is your vision of the more beautiful world? What are your gifts? What are your offerings? Who would like to go next?
I'll speak maybe about what drew me to space. We've been speaking, Mark, Grace, Duke, or me, lots of others, about the more beautiful world our hearts know is possible, from what Mark was saying, Charles Eisenstein's book. Yeah, I mean, it is, like Paul said at the beginning, this live stream, but for me also what's been really wonderful is we've created this space, this peaceful space that we come to weekly on these calls, and it's holding that space, whether there's 2 of us or 10 of us each time. And we always say about it's just turning up and envisaging the more beautiful world our hearts know is possible. And I sort of feel like the more the vision grows, the more people who we speak to about it, or the more people that come to those calls or sharing this with now what, and it becomes like a little bit more tangible, and things like that always draw me to it. Anything that has that kind of interconnectedness that I always feel but don't always know how to articulate. It makes me kind of feel like we are one, and that's why this thing right now is so pertinent, because it's the only time I've ever experienced something where we are all dealing with the same thing at the same time, and that, yeah, it has, it's with that oneness, that unity is just so, we can feel it like viscerally. I was just going to share a small little song. That okay? Yeah. Just a little verse of an Irish folk song to calm us as we end. My young love said to me, my mother won't mind, and my father won't slight you for your lack of kind. And she stepped away from me, and this she did say, it will not be long, love, till our wedding day. Stop there. Thank you.
Thank you, Rose. Who else would like to share? Then I'll take this time to express my gratitude for each and every one of you who've shown up, who show up in the work every day, your presence. To extend the invitation every Tuesday, same time, same channel. We will be evolving and moving forward with this project, bringing others in who can help produce. If you'd like to continue the journey with us, you can always go to MoreBeautiful.World and sign up for the mail list. We'll be using that regularly. You can check in through Now What, the weekly calls. We'll be doing breakouts as we get more specific into working on how we will produce this. And we have 5 more weeks to go. Actually, 6 weeks total through the Now What circle. Who else would like to express any gratitude or closing thoughts? Tina.
Big gratitude to everyone who is behind this call, helped organize it. Yeah, and the beautiful voices, the songs that were shared. I am drawn to Charles' work originally. Oh, rats.
Where'd she go?
I think something fell.
Oh, it happens.
That happened. I'm sure there was something so much that wanted to come out. I'm sure she'll find her way back in. In the meantime, is anybody else? Alice. Alice is. Wait, Alice, you're on. Wait.
Can you hear me?
Now we can hear you, Alice. Hello, Alice.
Hello. Timing is bad, but when she disappeared, I just wanted to say we can't be deceived by just visible reality. It's way bigger. That's all. My attempt at a joke.
It's true. It's truth. Inga, yes, please.
I'm Inga. I'm based in Norway. And as you can see, I'm sitting here with clothes behind me. And clothing and fashion is a story of beauty in its essence. So I think that we are coming from a world of surplus, and to really appreciate it, it came up to me that surplus, the global surplus, we are overproducing. There's too much information, but the essence of wisdom is kind of blurred. So the beauty of the future, the new story of surplus, and how we can redistribute surplus. The beauty on the planet is in plenty. So the world, and of course the fashion industry is creating waste and garbage and has a story of the opposite. But again, it's a story of a possibility to tell stories of beauty. Handmade clothes, the arts, so really the power to beauty, as I mentioned yesterday, and Ben was so grateful to repeat it in the opening call. I just wanted to share that as a way of appreciation and say thank you for organizing this call of the possible future of beauty and love. Thank you.
Thank you, Inga. I know you're very engaged with Ben and Now What, and we appreciate your work. And I know that Ben now is ready to share something.
Yes, I was getting ready and then I heard my name. I don't know if you can do this, Mark, on the fly, but if you check our direct message channel in Slack, I just sent you a picture and you could share that on your screen to give people a sense of how my participation has gone on this call.
Okay.
You know, I've been exploring the edges of this sort of pioneering realm of virtual connecting in groups, particularly for live conversation, since 2010. And it's kind of remarkable to see the whole world sort of suddenly trying to catch up in 2 weeks. One of the things I notice is that I hear a lot of, people are getting stressed out by one more Zoom call and how much they're sitting in front of a glass screen. And we know that can't be good for us if that's all we do. And now what mostly seems to be a bunch of Zoom calls, and it doesn't have to be just that for anyone who chooses to make it more. I've been participating most of this time, walking in the woods and listening. I've listened to every word. And you can see a picture there. I don't know if, Mark, you were able to share it, of my dog Trevor as we were walking through a particular spot that where some serious damage happened to these woods that I love. We had something called a macro burst. It's like a tornado, but it happens over many square miles of a whole front going through. Thousands and thousands of trees were knocked down here. And you can see they've now cleared the trail in a spot that was blocked before.
Sorry, Ben, I'm not seeing the image to be able to share it. I don't know where it is.
Well, you know what? Maybe I don't have enough bandwidth for it to upload to you in this moment. Anyway, I just wanted to name the possibility that, well, first, the reality that we're always in our bodies, and you've done that so beautifully on this call, to have us be in our bodies, not just, in our minds, in our eyes, connected through a screen. And we can participate over the course of these 6 weeks in Now What in many flexible ways, including, that I think you have so many beautiful invitations to offer, that there might be invitations you can make and others, and I will be making, for things we can do, not in front of the computer, but then to share them in little ways, like that picture in this story, or to record something, or to write something. If you go to the Now What website, nowwhat2020.com, under Participate, there's a Harvest tab, and all kinds of ways that you can share things that might have happened when you weren't sitting in front of a computer, as well as things that happened during these calls. So I'm just offering that additional invitation and possibility to you with tremendous gratitude for your showing up in this way. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben, for all that you do. Quite something. Anybody else who would like to share at this time? Gratitude?
Can I share something?
Of course. Here's my daughter, Sophia, who would like to share.
Hello, everybody.
Speak up.
I just wanted to say thank you to everybody that has taken part in the More Beautiful World, to bring it forward, because I know how much joy it brings to my dad, and to see him and have so much love in his heart. The past year is it's a pretty incredible thing to watch, and to have you guys be part of it is really special. So thank you.
Thank you, my daughter. What can I ask for? This is why we do our work.
Thank you, Sophia. Missing you. You're adorable.
Anybody else? Yes.
May I jump in?
Yes.
So my electricity has been off all morning, so I just want to say something before I officially get disconnected, because island life. But it's been so wonderful joining everyone and being on the call and being so connected, even though we are geographically, all over the world. And it's my purpose in life, my thing is that I spread ocean love and I protect our planet Earth. I'm a conservation biologist, and I use my connection with Mama us to do things differently. And I wonder if I'm getting that's really exciting.
Nikita, you broke.
Can you hear me?
You broke up quite a bit. If you could just speak slowly, and let's try one more time. Oh, we lost her. There goes the electricity.
Yeah.
Wow. Really on the edge.
But that was awesome though.
Yeah.
That was like magic, you know. I mean, I didn't need any more. I got it, you know. She starts talking about her connection to the earth, and it's like she went cosmic. Yeah. I thought it was great. I've learned to just embrace the glitches.
Yeah. Wait, I think I'm back. Oh, my power came on.
Yay!
Oh, wonderful. Okay, so what I was just saying is that I think this is just such an opportunity for us to really create a new way of living and connecting to this planet, to our home. And I'm excited to be on this journey with you, to learn from you, and to really to create a more beautiful world, because it's what has to happen. It's what will happen.
Beautiful.
Thank you for the work that you do, Nikita, and thank you for your perseverance.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Mark, if you allow me to just share one more thing.
Please.
I've been connected to the European Network of Society for Organizational Learning. And my French friends are working on something called happy morphosis. I'm not sure if I'm explaining morphosis, but how to be morph into a happy reality.
Yes.
And this transformation, so I was like kind of think, oh, I have to bring my French people into this community. I have to, you know, and there's a lot of people in that transformative cocooning perspectives. That's from a caterpillar into a butterfly. In that transformative period of being inside the cocoon, and to really, you know, if you want to be a butterfly, you need some kind of a power to break the cocoon. So there is something that is like into the happy transition, into the happiness of the future. We have to have some strong wings. And it could be force, it could be anger, and it's actually a strength that is needed right now. And the symbol of the butterfly, as you know, that's also the symbol of Christianity when you go on a pilgrimage, that you have a walking transformation. So this thing from a caterpillar into the transition of shifting to the butterfly, that morphosis, how we morph ourselves in the way we use words and being, and so that's something we had to train ourselves for, exercise, fly. I just wanted to share this. It just came down as I wanted to share.
Thank you. And I'm going to share an image while we close out to ponder, what does it mean to have wings? What does it mean to question and carry the notion of intent? If there's anybody else that would like to share.
I would like to share, can I?
Yes, of course.
I would like to keep the picture of the waterfall be my image for today. I had no intent. I had an intention not to speak because I have been in such a silent space inwardly, and I'm still processing much. But when your daughter behind you spoke, Mark, something happened. Because it happened a little bit before as well. And I'm a weaver. Part of myself is a weaver. And my heart thread, the thread that came to me towards my heart, I pass on to you. And it's sharing what I watched earlier on last week on a video from somebody called Christina von Breyen. She's 19 years of age. She lives in Switzerland, and she is multidimensional aware. And she talks about this change of DNA. And many people hear her speak, and she has this vision of MoreBeautiful.World. And she was asked what she would say at this moment of this crown virus. And she said, well, what's really important is that when it's 9 o'clock, she is in Switzerland, and at 9 o'clock, the news go on. And the drama unfolds. And people go, oh my God. And really, Michelle should be there with her mudra and share it with everyone. But then she said, in this joyful, playful way, she said, you know what we should do at that moment would be great? We tell to the world, we make videos of telling about each other how wonderful we are. So what you just did, Sophie, talking about Mark, how wonderful he is, that just brought me to tears of a confirmation of what Inge said, that wings that burst, that break free. So if at 9 o'clock, she said, you know, coming from that newsroom, we would all just get together, have a pillow fight maybe, and then and a city, and then have joy. So I'll share maybe that somewhere on Slack. Ben will put me straight that video. She's just an amazing young woman, and her story is just utterly awesome. And I think Sophie would like to meet.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My friends, Ben, is there anything else? Your hand is still raised.
Oh, I just didn't put it down. You can put it down as the host too.
Sure.
I don't know. Well, there's one other thing, which is that now what is a gift economy? And there are all kinds of gifts. We've received some wonderful ones today. There is a financial dimension to it. We gather a pool of money over the course of the gathering and sometimes in the weeks afterwards. And then it gets distributed in different ways to support the people doing the work of creating the invitations and bringing people in, of hosting calls, of managing different processes, and also simply for participating. That's something of value, and some people receive some financial support for that, and also to support projects out in the world. And one of the things we have not done in the past editions very effectively is to consistently name this and invite people to make a financial contribution if they choose to do so. When you register, there's a little thing if you get that far in the profile where you can indicate a sort of a pledge. But I think also ultimately to have the kinds of flows of money as well as other things, it helps to be making that request gently, but faithfully and consistently, as well as to name that there are opportunities to receive. And if you go to, again, the website, under participate, you'll see the gift economy link.
Thank you. If anybody has anything, Mark, yes.
Well, I would, after Ben just chimed in with that, I'd love to tie it back to what Charles was referring to in the intro also, that there are these beautiful parallel realities happening right now. And people can move between the different realities. There's the crumbling old story, which has an opportunity. Charles mentioned a debt jubilee that seems to be popping up, where people cannot go to work, cannot produce in the old system to relieve not only maybe payments on student loan debts or part of student loan debts, or maybe even all of student loan debts at some point, but also there was referred to in 2 articles yesterday about at least a 3-month implementation of what I called universal basic income. It wasn't worded that way, but it was, okay, each adult in the US at least gets $3,000 and each child gets $1,500. And to tide us over, even though we're working this new method of communicating and sharing, and in this case, in this group, amongst many other groups that I get to participate in, that things like gratitude know no distance, right? Unconditional love knows no distance. So we're moving outside just our electromagnetic spheres to this quantum field of connection. And when you share art and beauty, as was done on this call also today, and love, as Sophia, for you, Mark, that was beautiful. Absolutely, everyone's gifts were beautiful. And Ben just mentioned them. Gifts. We're offering these beautiful gifts, which are part of this new, more beautiful world. And if we steer clear of judgment of others, right, who are still operating from fear or separation thinking, which is a long-standing disease, and get into this shared space that I like to quote one of my friends who's working on one of the transition model games, or at least one of the cores. He says, together, we have everything we need. Together, we have everything we need. And I love how it's repeated. So I love everyone on this call so much, and you are so much part of this beautiful, beautiful evolution that is taking place right now. Just thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Katie. Thank you, Alice. Thank you, Tina. Thank you, Inga Meta. Thank you, Dee. Thank you, Grace and Duke. Thank you, Palm. Thank you, Nikita. Thank you, Flavia. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Shulamit. Thank you, my beautiful children. We'll see you again soon. Take care, everybody. This meeting is complete.